Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect, Double Speed, Magic the Gathering. We've got Craig on PO versus Rodney on his Dragon Reanimator list. Picks up some powerful effects here in Vintage, including Bazaar of Baghdad. Let's see how this goes for him. Leading out with a Polluted Delta and passing Craig with his own powerful land, Library of Alexandria. That one, however, restricted. And if Rodney's not able to put some significant pressure, forcing Craig to use some resources, he will be drowned in card advantage. Let's see how he's able to handle the early game here before Library gets too out of hand. Going to unmask, pitching Dark Ritual. Craig responding with a tap to draw. And he's actually just targeting himself here. He's going to fetch. Oh, and a KO. So Rodney, just with a soul read here, is able to animate dead his own World Gorger Dragon after unmasking himself. Dragon comes back into the battlefield, removes that Sunscorched Desert from the game, along with the animate and all his other permanents. When that happens, World Gorger goes to the graveyard. And when that happens, everything comes back, creating an infinite loop on every cycle. Rodney is able to do 1 damage with that Sunscorched Desert to Craig, just ending it in a just super fast game there. So many decks that can win on the first turn. You know, you got to do some stuff. You got to play out a bunch of cards. You got to count to 10. Not here. You just play 1 spell for a 1-hit KO from any life point. Wow, Craig up against it now. Needs to win 2 back-to-back to take the match against this very explosive, highly unpredictable deck. Craig really shuffling it up. Taking a moment to settle his nerves after just a blind animate dead. Underground Sea, Grafdigger's Cage. One issue with the World Gorger Dragon deck is the clever sideboard plan of Show and Tell, not nearly as good with World Gorger Dragon as it is in the other animate decks. Though you do have Gristlebrand to put in. Tormod's Crypt as well. Really seeing a lot of hate so far from Craig. And Thoughtseize. Looks like the paradoxical outcome times 2. So that is unfortunate. Rodney going to need to find a way to play through both Tormod's Crypt and Grafdigger's Cage. Black Lotus would certainly help with that, enabling all sorts of spells. Any mana, any color, times 3. Be part of a lot of solutions to this puzzle. Needs to get rid of Grafdigger's Cage almost for certain. Tormod's Crypt, he may be able to force Tormods to be used. And Rodney going to tap his Proxy or Playtest Bazaar, as Wizards would prefer we call them. Three cards going into the bin. Dragon is one of them, along with an Entomb. And that Grafdigger's Cage is the real issue at this point. Dredge, a real powerhouse in Vintage, does require a bit of sideboard preparation for almost all decks to not just get rolled by Dredge. With 7 to 8 sideboard cards, however, Usually games 2 and 3 are at least reasonable matchups. I am not sure what Rodney's playing there. Possibly a Demonic Tutor. Let's see where this card goes. Rodney mostly playing Legacy. Goes on top, so that would be Vamp Tutor or Imperial Seal. Activating Bazaar. Getting the card that he just tutored for. Dragon going into the graveyard again. And Paradoxical Outcome hitting everything but the Grafdigger's Cage. It's worth noting Necromancy can actually win at instant speed. So Craig keeping that Grafdigger's Cage in play just in case. Might be signaling that he does not have Force of Will yet. Being willing to give up that extra card off of the Grafdigger's Cage. Now a Karakas adds to the cards to potentially play around. So Karakas usually great versus Reanimator. It does stop Gristlebrand from ever connecting in all likelihood. Doesn't stop all of the card drawing. But World Gorger, not a legend, so... Rodney considering just like casting a World Gorger Dragon here? Thoughtseize. That is hard cast Force. Still 2 pieces of hate to play through. Dragon is castable with Lotus, providing all the red mana you need. Is a little bit of a beat stick. Would be a 3-turn clock. I do believe he's a 7/7. Trample flying, if I remember correctly. Doesn't come up that often. Just PO for 2 again. Also potentially considering cards like Mental Misstep by not picking up the Grafdigger's Cage. And Library of Alexandria coming down. Do not believe that Craig has 7 cards in hand. We got Dark Ritual. There's the Desert. And hard casting Gristlebrand. That's met with a Force of Will. Craig firmly in the driver's seat here. Gonna fire off the Tormod's Crypt, play Yogg-Will, and then that's enough for Rodney. No reason not to fire off the Crypt first, just gonna get it right back. Yogg-Will, incredibly powerful, though not as popular as it has been in the past. Yogg-Will was really kind of a format-defining card for many, many years. Now players often deciding not to include a heavy black element for Yogg-Will, even in combo decks like PO. Not an automatic inclusion at this point, which is still very surprising to me. I think Demonic Tutor into Yawgmoth's Will, one of the easiest ways to win the game. Most decks, I suppose if I have the mana and that line isn't going to win, I'm probably not interested in playing that deck. You can't really do, if you can't do something totally busted with a Yogg-Will and a Demonic Tutor, what are you even doing? Rodney going to be on the play. See if speed is going to be on his side here. Looks like Craig is mulliganing. Rodney's on the play. And it looks like he's going to keep. He would actually need to say that before Craig announces. Plenty of time left in the round. Very little chance of this going to time. Both of these decks capable of ending things very quickly. Certainly both decks capable of winning in extra turns as well. The consideration in tournament Magic, being able to, if your deck can win in 3 turns or less, that is a big advantage given the time structure. Shuffling it up with very little time at the end when you're the only deck that can potentially win is nice. And Craig showing us what he can do here on turn 1. 3 artifacts along with Paradoxical Outcome. Going to be drawing 3, and this is going to be mana neutral, Mana Crypt, and 2 Moxes. Tormod's Crypt, Mana Vault, Grafdigger's Cage, Mox Opal. If he has another Paradoxical Outcome, this is going to just snowball very badly. Preordain, seeing 2 cards. Being this far ahead may not be a bad thing to leave a PO on top, just so you don't have to defend it from discard effects like Thoughtseize and Unmask. Mana Crypt missing its mark during the upkeep. And Craig five, 8 mana PO, 4 mana floating. Just a bajillion cards here. What is that? 7 cards being drawn. This is a one-sided Wheel of Fortune that generates mana. Soul Ring, why not? And Brainstorm now. And this has to feel like the writing is on the wall for Rodney. Got to imagine there's a bunch of counterspells in Craig's hand. Tormod's and Grafdigger's Cage both being huge barriers to Rodney winning. It looks like Rodney only with black mana, so even a card like Abrupt Decay not going to be even castable at this point. A couple of Abrupt Decays would be a potential way out of the situation. Oh, but no, another Grafdigger's Cage now. So sure, just draw like three Abrupt Decays. Now this is getting very, very bad for Rodney. Craig with Caracas cutting off many of the Gristlebrand lines. And there is Lavinia. That is a 2/2. He'll be able to potentially just be down for 10 turns, honestly, with as severe as this game state is. And a Demonic Tutor being played by Craig, and this ought to do it. We previously saw Yawgmoth's Will. Will at this point would enable multiple POs. Pretty much draw the entire rest of the deck. Have a past turn? Or is this responding? An Ancestral Recall. Looks like that's an Underground Sea. Wow. So an end step Ancestral. And Craig Demonic Tutored, but didn't win on the spot. leaving Rodney with just the glimmer of hope. What can he do with it? Chain of Vapor in hand. The answer is a single Grafdigger's Cage. Oof. Snapcaster Mage here. Perhaps another Vampiric Tutor. Not much of a shuffle after that. Oh, Grafdigger's Cage actually would prevent Craig from using Yawgmoth's Will on his own. He'd have to PO first to pick them up. Night's Whisper. Ponder. Grafdigger's Cage is symmetrical, at least. Does stop some of the more busted things you can do. And now dig through time for Craig. He's sitting on a 4-turn clock here with the Snapcaster and Lavinia. Dig through time resolving. Voltaic Key. And it looks like this is a Tinker being played. I don't think we've seen the card yet, but Tinker for Voltaic Key and Time Vault. Chain of Vapor in response from Rodney. Craig puts him out of his misery with the Force of Will. No more interaction moving forward. Mana Crypt being tinkered away, meaning that there was no more outs there for Rodney. No chance for some bad flips to end Craig's run. And that is a rough one right there. Mystic Remora being shown by Craig. Card's very, very solid in so many matchups. And Rodney now showing his sideboard options. Really interesting list. Really interesting list. Hopefully we'll get it back on camera soon. All right, so that's it for now. Thanks for watching.